Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be announcing most of the main primary KvK matchups for the G2 Kingdom pool. Now, yesterday, we announced groups, most of them that you see here on this tab. We basically went through them. Now, we didn't end up getting 3, which, again, right, keep in mind, as you go lower in the numbers, it is a lower overall powered KvK group. So there were 3 that we were missing. We ended up getting pretty much all of them except for those at the time. And with the matchups, we have them up until 60-55. So I think about 10 or 11 of them, okay, because it starts at 45. So I want to give a quick mention too from yesterday's video on the groups. We had a 100 plus and a 200 plus column. This was mainly just supposed to be showing the single number for the amount of 100 mil plus players and the amount of 200 mil plus. Unfortunately, the function I put in had summed them, so it basically added up 100 to 300. It doesn't take away from any of the other data that was there. All of that was accurate. Again, with the majority of it being pulled on the 5th and then a little bit being pulled on the 6th as of yesterday. But I removed those, and we're just going to bold the columns, so that way things are a little easier to digest. And also keep in mind, we will be pulling the data again before the Zone 2 fights, because there's a couple stages here that I always find is important to pull data. One, it's once registration closes, and then doing it again before the groups are announced, if we're able to, and then again after Brink of War. And that's because Brink of War with phase 2, stage 2, right, is a true training phase. So you know that people are going to power up, and that can change some of the numbers. So it's always good. I like to do it at least around that time. But at minimum, post-registration and then before Zone 2 opens up. With that in mind, if you do want to get access to the public sheet, I'll state this in the beginning this time, you can just join the Discord. A link to that is in the pinned comment description down below. Once you do join, I will show you. You just have to go over here to where it says reaction roles. Select CallofDragons. It's going to be the one that has the most amount of reactions. After that, you will click on CallofDragons unless the category just pops out. Then you'll go to COD Data Stats, and it's going to be the top link here for G2. That's the public one. So that's the one that we are essentially updating. Okay, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get to the matchups that we know so far. Now, also, if anything has changed, please feel free to let me know. This is what I have been told by either an R4 and R5 in the kingdom, or someone that sent me a screenshot of a kingdom announcement, an alliance mail, or a Discord announcement from that kingdom that was plugged in. In addition, for any of the remaining groups that we don't have matchups for, again, please feel free to let me know. Just shoot me a DM on Discord if you'd like, and then I will go ahead and plug those in. And again, we'll fill out the remaining as well as time goes on. Okay, first matchup we have, which again is probably still going to be a must-watch because it is not. It is. I think it's the only one we know so far that is not a standard 3v3. Is going to be the 2v4 between VKG. They're going to be going up against DK, S2AK, RP, and 262. Here, you can see some of the number differentials, and you can also see how we ended up categorizing the 100 and 200 Ps, where we ended up doing bolds for those. So that way, hopefully, it stands out. It's a little bit easier to digest. So comparison right now is we got 19.5 bill versus 42.9, right? So there's a 23.4 bill difference. On merits, there's a 1.8 bill difference. Activity percentage, shockingly, the top 2 kingdoms here work together on that, right? So they have about a 3.27 percentage more. When we look at merits, we end up having the, right, there's 116, 59. Then you start seeing, right, some of these areas where, okay, now it's a little bit closer, right? So again, obviously with them having more people, it would be understood why 10 million and 15 million would be a little bit more. You could see plus 73, plus 26, right, in favor of the 262 team. Only plus 1 in favor of them at 20 mil, and then they're tied even at 25 mil. When we look at 100 and 200 P, right, there's a plus 75, basically double the amount of 100 mil pluses. But then you got the same amount of 200 mil pluses, right? 150s, basically double, and then you have 250 and 300. I mean, listen, man, it's an uphill battle. I don't think anyone can look at these numbers and say, oh yeah, like, you know, it's even, right? Now, keep in mind, we still would have to break down individual Zone 2 and Zone 3 fights and how that would look. For me, I just like to look at it holistically, and then how would it look in the final zone if everyone matched up against each other. And again, I think you have to clearly give the edge out to the 262 team. But again, the Zone 2 and the Zone 3 fights might break down differently, right? And if we get some time, we'll definitely look at those two as well, because I would love to look at like what the individual matchups look like and then how that might impact and again, maybe for the future. Okay, next one is going to be 6054. This is Law, O5DK, GRZ. They're going to be going up against Fate, SG97, and Bear. There is a 4.3 billion advantage in favor of the Bear team, or I guess in this case, who's the strongest, SG97. 268 million more Kingdom merits in favor of that team. You do have more PvP percentage or activity percentage here that goes in favor of the O5DK team, right? 0.78%. When we look at, again, PvP merits for engagement, you got +3 in favor at 10 million of the SG team. You got +6 in favor of them, +5 in favor at 20 mil, and then +6 at 25 mil. So, I mean, the numbers are close, right? It's not too far. Then we look at the powers, right? 100 mil, we're looking at +4, but that goes in favor of the other team, O5DK. And then they have one 200 mil that's in favor, but then you got you have a +1 150 mil that goes in favor of SG97. So, I mean, again, you got a little bit more on the stronger end, but then you got more power going on the SG97. Again, this to me looks like it's pretty darn close. Not to say that, again, the power is not going to play a factor, and obviously they have more people so far that look like they're with merits. Again, you have more you have a little bit more PvP activity percentage, so I like that, along with having, even if it's just a few more powerful people, because again, when the numbers are lower, having a few more obviously means more than if the number was higher and the number was still low. And then you have a little bit more power, right? As we said, going in favor of SG97. So again, this looks like this is going to be an interesting matchup. Then we get to 53 here, which is going to be Beck, Avik, Sura, -FU, Snicks, RNW. We got, again, 1.7 billion power that goes in favor of the Avik team. We got more merits that go in favor of the who's strongest here, RNW team. You got more PvP activity percentage in favor of RNW team by 1.64. We have, again, more PvP merit activity there, or at least performance, right? +26 for 10 mil. We got +15 there for 15 mil, +17, right? So almost double there at 20 mil. And then you got +3, right? So a little bit lower as we scale up. 100 and 200 mil pluses, basically dead even. I mean, it's +1 in favor of them. And then you got +1 at 200. And then you got a break even here at 250, right? And at 150, it's +1, but going in the other direction of Avik. So, I mean, again, you know, I mean, the matchup looks pretty close, right? Like, this isn't, I would say, unbalanced. Sure, you can maybe give an edge, even if it's a slight, to one side or the other. I think just depending on the category that you're looking at. Like, for example, I think, you know, it depends on how much value you're putting towards activity percentage versus the power here, because again, the higher numbers are pretty close, even though you do have better merit engagement. But again, I think this matchup is a lot closer, at least on paper, for how it looks. 52, this is going to be 14B SHPZ 1-up going up against FSK, FA, and HD. Now, there's a +5.4 billion power differential that goes in favor of the FSK team, or in this case, the HD team. You got 1.15 billion merits in favor of the HD team. You got 1.11% better PvP activity percentage in favor of the HD team. We got +23 for 10 mil in favor of that team, +11, +14, and +11 is, again, here, all in favor. At 100 mils, you got a +11 going the other way now, so that's 14 BS, and then you got a +1, but that goes in favor of the HD team for 200 mils. And then again, they also have 2 people at 250 and 1 person at 300, right, on the HD team. So that's obviously going to be a factor as well on top of the power. I would say clearly a little of an advantage here, right, that goes in favor of the HD team. I don't know if I want to go as far as saying like it's incredibly drastic, you know, where it's, you know, something like a 10 bill and it's like 20, 30, 40, 100 mil pluses. But I would say there's a little bit of an edge there on their side. Then we look at 51. Here, this is BBX Seal going up against RK3 GNR LXV. There's a 4 billion power advantage in favor of the BB team, 52 million merits. It's in favor of the BB team. Very close in PvP percentage rate, 0.44%. That's great. I love seeing when that number is really close. But again, that goes in favor here of the LXV team. We look at million merits, right? So this is 10 million. This is players with 10 million merits, 20, 15, 25 million merits, right? How many of them achieved that last season? Then we have plus 22 at 10 mil. That's in favor of the LXV team, plus 4 in favor of the BB team up top, plus 13 in favor of the LXV team, and we got plus 4 in favor of them as well. 100 mils, a plus 6, right? So it's pretty close here, but that's in favor of LXV. You got a plus 2 at a 200 mil. That's in favor of the BB team. And then you have a plus 1 here at 250 mil. That's in favor of the LXV team. So, I mean, again, this to me actually feels like it's pretty close, right? I mean, you got a little bit more power on the BB team, but you got a few more 100 mil pluses. You also have one more 250 mil plus, even though you got two 200s over here. At 150, you got 4 more. So, I mean, this I think is a lot closer than it might look on paper. That's just my vibe. Right, even if maybe you want to argue and give maybe a tiny bit of an edge to BB, I still feel like this is a lot closer than it might look. Then we get to TCIR, 60-50. This is TCIR Lion versus GEX, WER, and DAD. Thanks, Dad. We got a plus 3.8 billion power going in favor of the DAD team. I have to say that now because they're the strongest. And then we have 39 mil that goes in favor of Dad. We'll just say it like that because it sounds better. Well, might as well lean in at this point. 0.94% PvP activity percentage goes in favor here of Lion. We got 7 more 10 million player achieve merits that were achieved for players here in favor of the Lion team. Plus 22 at 15 mil, plus 24 here at 20 mil. Same for them. Plus 19, so more than double there. We look at 100 mils. They got 37 more in favor of Lion. And then there is plus 1 for 200 mil. That's in favor of Dad. And then we have 300 mil that goes over to the Dad team as well. This actually, I think, is a lot closer, right? Because that's what we often say is like, if one side has more power, than the other side, whether it's more power, more 100 mil plus, more T5s, we like to see the other side, I would hold it in, having more 100 mil plus players, right? And in this case, you got a little more power here on the Dad team, but you got more 100 mil pluses on the other team. PvP activity percentage is very close. Even if you see some fluctuations here, again, I think this matchup is a lot closer than it looks. That's just my take. So I'll be really excited to see how that plays out. Then we get to 49 here. This is ED, WGL, NXW versus TFS, BNR, and Squiggly Eyes. Very close in power. Absolutely love seeing that. Under a bill here, but again, going in favor of the BNR team. We got 165 million merit differential, very close, but that one goes in favor here of the ED team. We got 0.5%, 0.58% here on the PvP activity percentage comparison. That's great, but this goes in favor of the ED team. You got one more time. I mean, I love how close these numbers are. One more 10 million merit total players there in favor of ED. You got plus 9. That's in favor of BNR. Plus 20. That's going to be in favor of BNR, and then plus 8 in favor of them as well. Now, let's get to the 100 mils, because this is where obviously we start to see some discrepancies. Okay, so you got plus 99, that's in favor of the BNR team. You have 5 more 200 mils in favor of the BNR team. You do have 1 more 300 that's in favor of the ED team, so there's that. You also got a plus 26 at 150 mil. That's in favor of BNR. So, I mean, again, the numbers are close, right? But to me, this just, I mean, that just feels big, right? It's like, even if you have the same amount of troops, right, you have like a higher average tier player threshold that's higher, it feels like, on the BNR side versus the ED side. That would be my interpretation, right? It would be like having, it's like, would you rather have, 100? It's like if you had 200, like if you had 180 mil plus players or 80 mil players versus having 100, 120 mil plus players, right? Like, there's just more development, there's more progression there on the account. So, Again, that's just kind of what I guess it's a very simple way of putting that. But for me, that's just kind of how it feels when I look at this. If you guys are interpreting that differently, let me know. But I definitely would give an edge out here to the BNR team. Let's go to 48. Here for this one, we only got a couple left. OMG 33 or Slanted Eyes, excuse me, IWV versus FGGG and K211. Now, for this one, we got a 1.8 billion power differential that goes in favor here of the FG team. We got 1.11 billion merits. That goes in favor of the FG team. 1.52% differential on PvP activity. That goes in favor of the FG team. We got plus 70 here at 10 mil merits, plus 18, plus 41, and plus 7, all in favor of the FG team. Now we get to 100 mil plus. There's plus 19, 100 mil pluses, but then at 200 mil plus, we swing the other way, and it's 3 times that, right? So you got a plus 8 here. That goes in favor of the IWV team. So there is that, right? Again, plus 19 at higher numbers like this isn't overwhelmingly drastic, I feel. And I like that they have a little bit more. On top of which, let's also put things in perspective, right? They have 6 250 mil plus players and 3 300 mil plus players, right? Versus the other team that does not. So, I mean, again, you know, maybe you argue and you say, okay, I'm going to give IWV a little bit of an edge here, but I still think that this is closer. Not to say that I would say it's maybe 100% equally balanced, but I do think this is a lot closer than it looks. Because again, you've got a little more power, you got better PvP activity percentage, you got a few more 100 mil plus players. You also have more average players reaching higher merits, right? But then you've got some stronger players that go in favor of the IWV team. So I guess to me, it does look a little bit closer in that case. But if you guys see something different, let me know. Okay, let's go to 47. We got 3 more groups here now. These are the top 3 groups, basically, right? So this would be the number 3 KvK. Apex, RAC, FWY versus 30 NA, 21 SW, and NWE. We got a plus 5 billion power differential in favor of the FWY team. We got 242 million merits. That's in favor of FWY. We got a 1.18% PvP activity. That's actually in favor of the other side, 30 NA team. We got plus 17 in favor of 30 NA, plus 5. This is in favor of 30 NA. They're equal on 20 million merits for total players achieved. Plus 8, however, at 25, that goes in favor of FWY. You got 57 more 100 mil pluses in favor of FWY. And you have a 0 or an even out here at 200 mil, right? So they're basically dead even. However, when you get to 250, now you got plus 6. That's in favor of 30 NA. And then you also have at 300 mil plus 4, right? So times 5 on that and basically double at 250, but that's in favor of 30 NA. So you got a little more power on 30 NA, right? You got a little more 100 mil plus, but then the other side has more stronger players, right? So again, and they also have better merit goals achieved, a little bit better PvP activity percentage. I would say this is closer than I probably think. I guess it depends on maybe who you kind of want to give some edges out here. Like, are you valuing the 5 bill and the 57 100 mil more than the PvP activity percentage, merit achievements from last season, along with having some more stronger players? But again, that's at the 250 and 300 mil end, right? Because even at 150, you got 20 more than they do. So maybe you argue and say, okay, maybe I give a slight edge to the FWY team, but I could also see you saying the same thing on the other side, going to 30 NA. I mean, again, I do think that this is closer, but I think it just depends on what you're valuing more at that point. So you guys let me know what you think on that matchup. Then we get to the number 2 KvK, right? So 2 left. RFF, BTX is 46, MFD versus A2G, ROG, WAO. Here, we got 588 million, super close, and I love seeing that. Oh my God, that's so sexy. But we got to see how everything else looks. This does go in favor, though, however, of the BTX team. We got 144 million merits, very close in favor of BTX. And look at this, 0.02 PvP activity percentage. That's so awesome that it's that close. That's great. That's ridiculous. Okay, then we look at merit achievements from last season, total players, right? So plus 22 goes in favor of BTX. We got plus 4 goes in favor of ROG. We got plus 27 ROG, plus 2 ROG, and then we get to 100 mil pluses, right? So that's a decent number, right? 113 more 100 mil pluses going in favor of the ROG team. We get to 200 mil, but that's plus 7 swinging the other way, going in favor of BTX. And then you have a plus 4 at 250 in favor of BTX, and another plus 4 at 300 mil in favor of BTX. So again, I actually think this is a little bit closer. I guess it depends on how much are you valuing the 113 difference versus the plus 7 at 200, the plus 4 at 250. right? And then breaking that down further, the +4 at 300. Again, I think this is pretty close to me for how I look at it. Maybe you value a little bit more at like the 113 differential because it's just 113 players versus 7, 4, and 4, right? So it's a smaller number, even if they do have more total troops and more developed accounts and higher tier level of an account as well. But again, I'm curious what you guys think. This I'm excited to watch just because of how balanced it looks on paper. Then let's look at the top group, right? So this is what we know at the moment. The number one KvK group here is going to be 45. That's EIS, WBA, Rage, going up against NTS, Echo, and 25 IL. There is about a 6 billion power differential in favor of the EIS team, 2.65 billion merits in favor of the EIS team. There's a 2.13% PvP activity percentage in favor of the EIS team. Then we get to total players that have achieved these amount of million merits from last season, +17 in favor of the EIS team, +119 in favor of EIS, +113 in favor of EIS, +72 in favor of EIS. And then we get to powered players here, right? So at 80, +4, that's in favor of Echo. 100 mil plus, 75, that's in favor of EIS. We look at 150, +30 is in favor of EIS. 200 mil, +16 in favor of EIS. 250 mil, +22, more than double. That's in favor of EIS. And then we get a +8, right? So basically double. That's in favor of them as well at the 300 mil. And so there you go. That's how it looks. I think you look at the numbers, you're like, okay, clear advantage, right, on their side. However, you know, what I will say, and the important thing to take away here, well, you know what, maybe I'll touch on that at a later time. What I'll say is this. I think it's, yeah, you know, I'll wait. I'll wait for another video because I'm planning to, I do want to talk about the 45 situation because I know there's a lot of people. Some people have asked me what I think about it. Some people have reached out to me in DMs. I've had some people ping me as well. But again, I'll touch on it and kind of give my general thoughts on the situation at a later time. So maybe tomorrow or the day after. But again, this is what you got, right? So here's all the matchups. Here's all the breakdowns. As always, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if anything has changed or does change, or if there's any ones that haven't been filled in yet, just, again, please feel free to let me know, reach out. I'll be sure to do that. Let me know what you guys think, right? Which matchups are you most excited for? Which ones do you wish turned out a different way? Any thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.